and then jumps on her oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of the woman due to his...
I'm sorry, I have to laugh at this. We're talking about Diddy, Odell, Druski, and police of chief. And we're talking about the Maui police chief.
You mean chief of police, right? Not police of chief.
Did I say police of chief?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Maui police chief.
I thought you were there hung on that Xavier Worthy story.
Hey, man, another bombshell lawsuit has been dropped. Well, dropped as in dropped into the court. The lawsuit is accusing these men of horrific crimes. What's worse, the police chief is accused of helping covering it up. Bribery allegations, police cover-up, and celebrities denying everything. This is like a telenovela, and today we're gonna take a look at what happened. Fair use. Shout out to Simon of Simon Investigations.
Diddy case that I want to tell you about today. The current chief of police in Maui used to be a cop in Las Vegas. And during that window of time, he was also moonlighting as Diddy's security guy. A new civil suit accuses the chief of holding sexual abuse victims at gunpoint, running interference when Diddy's victims called the cops, and managing the Diddy safe houses where much of the abuse took place. The Maui government hired him to be their police chief before all this Diddy stuff broke, and now they're trying to figure out what to do with their chief. Do you fire the guy based on allegations in a civil suit when he hasn't been accused of a crime? If the Maui mayor wanted my opinion, here's what I'd say. You want to know two things. One, has the chief cooperated with the federal agents in the criminal case against Diddy, or did the chief lawyer up and refuse to talk? And two, has the chief been served with a target letter from the U.S. Department of Justice indicating that he's likely to be indicted in the near future? The answers to these two questions should guide the decision about whether the chief has to go or not. Next, I want to show you a news story I did with Hawaii News Now discussing the case that might answer some of your questions. After you watch this news story, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and then have a great day and be cool.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier is named as one of more than a dozen defendants, including NFL star Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Druski, in an amended complaint that claims they were part of the Diddy sexual abuse cover-up enterprise, allegations the chief calls unfounded. The accusations came to light Friday when the document was filed in California. It was submitted on behalf of a reported sexual assault survivor, Ashley Parham, along with a mother and son identified only as John and Jane Doe. The civil suit alleges Pelletier, who went by the codename Larry, was a co-conspirator in a complex racketeering scheme. Legal expert and former FBI agent Tom Simon.
It's important to distinguish between a civil suit and a criminal complaint. A criminal complaint means you're being accused of a crime, and that's not the case here with the chief. The chief has been named as a defendant in a civil suit, and anybody with $50 can sue anyone else.
The crimes allegedly happened in 2018 when Pelletier was working for the Las Vegas Police Department. Court documents allege Pelletier falsely posed as a Contra Costa sheriff, dismissing Parham after she reported that she had been brutally ganked by Diddy and his associates. The filing also claims when real police officers showed up to investigate, he called them off,
telling them that this was part of a federal case that did not exist. The complaint also alleges that the chief was managing the security at Diddy's safe houses where so many of these sexual assaults allegedly took place.
Pelletier is also accused of kidnapping that mother and son, identified as John and Jane Doe, in Las Vegas, then helping transport them to California,
holding them in place to force them to submit to Diddy's wishes.
Late Monday, Mayor Richard Bisson sent a letter to the Maui Police Commission with a recommendation the chief be placed on administrative leave, saying while the allegations remain unproven, there is a precedent within County of Maui government for placing appointed officials on leave while allegations against them are investigated.
What happened here? How is this case getting messier? Let's break this down. Everything you need to know. RJ.
Yes. KR, when I read the names, I was like, at this point, people just yell out names. So when I saw Druski, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. You want to include someone that is popular. That was the first thought. And that's actually a bad thing, right? Because this is not the consequence. This is the consequence of a lot of like fake things being mentioned. And of course, guys, before I proceed, remember to rate the show by pressing the like button, follow us on other socials, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification icon, of course. But hearing what the news is relating to the chief of police. It's, I mean, if there are pictures of him surveying, doesn't mean anything, but it does make the story, it does help support the story. Let me put it like that. Contrary to the Jay-Z story we just talked about, where there's apparently zero evidence. But I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you can tell me a bit more. I didn't dive deep into this story.
I like to let other people tell the story, and then I'll share my opinion, because I have my strong opinion about
Druski
this.
and Odell Beckham Jr. had a problem. If you don't know who they are, Druski is a comedian, Odell Beckham Jr., football player. Anyway, they were both named in a court document along with Diddy. That's already bad. Well, it gets worse. In the court document, it says that both of them, along with Diddy, did terrible things to a woman at Diddy's house. Now, people are already saying Druski guilty because he seemed to be associated with Diddy in the past, shooting videos and all that. Odell Beckham Jr. also seen with Diddy in the past. And it's because of this when Diddy got arrested and the whole fiasco happened, while Druski was on several podcasts, they asked him, hey, have you been to a Diddy party? And in each podcast, Druski starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. They're looking at him like, well, then Druski tells him, but look, I haven't been to one of those Diddy parties. So again, people are saying, oh, Druski was nervous, definitely guilty. All right, now here's where it starts to get wicked. Some of the allegations in this court document are absolutely insane. Prepare yourself. For instance, one of the lines reads out in reference to Druski. Instead of immediately doing something terrible to the woman, Druski douses the woman with more oil, Diddy and his baby oil, and then jumps on her oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of the woman due to his...
I'm sorry, I have to laugh at this. Yo, this is crazy, bruh. This is crazy. I hope this is not true, because
enormous size due to Druski's enormous size. Because of some of the wording, people claim...
RJ? Have you seen Druski?
Yeah, I'm just saying with the slip break. But
What the heck?
it says, okay, let's just proceed and we'll continue.
Let's proceed.
that this document is fake. But from what I've researched, this document seems like a legit document that was filed with the Northern District of California. And maybe this is a complete guess. The lawyer worded it this way to put you in the situation. Druski's a comedian. So maybe you could see Druski like pretend he's on a slip and slide. You know what I'm saying? After Druski allegedly did his slip and slide thing, he allegedly then did something terrible to her while Diddy watched. Afterwards, Odell Beckham did the same. They leave. Now, I feel like it's also important to tell you what happened directly afterwards. So according to the document, the woman then gets up, goes outside, and she has a confrontation with Diddy. Diddy tells her, yo, keep it down. We know where you live. Some other guy, who we're going to call guy number one, pops up and shows her a picture of her house. Diddy then allegedly says, and I'll also be getting away with everything, like what happened to Tupac. Allegedly, guy number one, who's showing her the phone, turns around and says, what'd you just say about Tupac? Diddy goes, huh? Allegedly, guy number one pulls out a ting. The woman, the victim of the story, allegedly grabs and a shot was fired. A neighbor pokes his head in and says, "What's going on?" Guy number one points his ting at the neighbor and says, "Boy, you better step." Now, I say all this because it's important to note that there are allegedly witnesses. So if this really happened, then they can get some proof. Druski says, well, that's well and good, but that whole story happened in 2018. He says he was living in his mama's house, he was broke, and he had no connections to the entertainment industry.
We all start somewhere. Just like Druski, I'm also still in my mama's basement. So I understand. I understand where he's coming from.
So basically, Druski's saying never happened. Now, those pictures, those videos I showed you earlier when he was connected and associated with Diddy, 2021. Now, do what you want with that information. But regardless, Odell Beckham says the same thing. He says the whole thing is cap. Now, regardless, people can speculate, people can guess, but not enough information is available. It's just not. But when more information is available, I'm going to let you know.
RJ, like I said, I would chime in, let someone tell the story, and then I'll give my honest opinion on this whole thing.
Yeah.
I've
So-
seen similar accusations in other lawsuits that have been filed.
Yeah.
Similar base concepts in the story where Diddy is walking around threatening people. This is the exact, I don't recall which lawsuit it was, but there is a lawsuit out there with Diddy in it where he threatened the woman. He says exactly the same concept, saying, I did that to Tupac, and then the person who's with Diddy pulls out a blicky on Diddy. It's the second time I've heard this story. But this is another lawsuit. It's not the same lawsuit.
Yeah, okay. But was it the same incident?
No, it's a different lawsuit. It's a different incident.
So you're saying that in both cases,
He's running his mouth, talking like he did something to Pac, his friends. Look, RJ, I'm telling you, this was another lawsuit. His friend who was there, I don't know what kind of friends, they pulled both. So just like this one, they pulled a blicky on Diddy. And then it turned, that other story was a bit different because that turned into a pew out. Diddy's bodyguards was busting on the other guy. wait, no.
Wait a minute.
Whoa,
that sounds like a freak off. That's like a freak off story.
Busting the blicky.
Stop saying it.
Pulling the trigger.
Okay.
They were pulling the trigger on Diddy's friend, and his bodyguards were pulling their triggers, and going back and forth. The woman was jumping around. It was crazy. It's the same here, but in this case, the guy didn't. The guy wasn't the one who pulled. It was the woman who tried to struggle for the blicky. I don't know, RJ. This seems out of a movie.